All right, here we go with our next presentation. Our next presenter is Chad Cook from the Ventura County Fire Department. Chad retired in April 2026 as a Deputy Fire Chief after a 38-year career that began in 1988. He came up through the ranks and made Deputy Chief and went on a number of large incidents, especially during that time in Ventura County. Since 2009, he's been a staple on California incident management teams and served as a Type 1 Operations Section Chief and went all around the country managing fire. At the statewide level, he served as the co-chair of the Fire Scope Operations Group, where he helped modernize emergency service delivery model. Our presentation is Finding Potential in People, a framework for building those around us. Chief.
Awesome, thank you guys. Probably don't need I probably don't need a microphone, and I know a lot of the people in the room, so I put together a presentation because I've had a lot of people ask me how you develop people or what were some of my strengths in developing people. This is not a talk about leadership. You get blanketed with leadership conversations about development of people, the right moves to do during leadership. But I will tell you that I didn't prepare this for the leadership aspect. I prepared it for the coaching and the human aspect of things. There is a massive shift in the fire service right now, and I have seen it. I am seeing it more and more, and I'm going, what has happened? What has happened to people coming up in the world today? Going, man, they are missing a lot. And I hope I don't offend people in here today. I hope I don't. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'll say something that is going to offend you, and that's fine if you're offended, because guess what? I retired. You can hold it against me. It doesn't really matter what you think, but I will tell you right now, when I see a dude working in a Starbucks, that's a problem. That's a problem to me. You know, I saw a meme about it the other day going, they should be out pouring concrete. You know, like what's going on with this? What's happening with things? And I will tell you, I started looking at it deeper and deeper, and I just had my own personal thoughts about it, which this presentation is not very long, so I'm not going to bore you with it. But I really started diving into the coaching aspect. I had something happen to me. John Wooden's granddaughter is a family friend of ours. Kathleen Chopani. She is the granddaughter of John Wooden. I actually got to meet John Wooden when I was younger through her. And she had a special needs son. And I got an opportunity to sit and listen to these people talk about special needs people. And it made me think about the coaching aspects in the fire service and myself many, many years ago as a crew supervisor going, how do I get the most out of people? How do I get the most out of them? I don't need them to be perfect. I don't need them to know everything. But how do I get them to pay attention, value the job that they're doing, learn from the things that they're doing, and how do I actually make that happen? And then I realized right away about that experience I had with Kathleen. She had a special needs son, and I walked away from him, and you know what John Wooden said? He goes, the crazy thing about special needs people is this. Every single day, all of us in this room that work in the fire service have a gift to get better. That is a gift. You are given a gift to learn and to be better tomorrow than you were today. I listened to Guy's presentation. I listened to the presentation before this, the keynote speaker this morning, all the presentations. They're phenomenal because you have an opportunity to listen and take tidbits away and learn something. I'm a very direct individual. The people that I worked with knew me as being very direct. I didn't usually candy coat too many things. I usually said what was on my mind, and it wasn't always right. I have failed way more than I've ever succeeded. And I'm not afraid to tell you that. I will tell you right now, I wish I had do-overs, but we don't live in a world of do-overs. We don't live in a backspace on the keyboard and I can retype that out again, or I can throw a little liquid paper on that, or I can do this differently tomorrow. No, we don't get that. You exit the cab of a fire engine and you are immediately involved with dangerous to life and health. You have to make split-second decisions, and they're not always right. I talk to people all the time about the difference in the fire service. You know there's only two decisions you ever have to make in the fire service? There's operational decisions and there's administrative decisions. Don't think it's that tough. We get away with 70% operational decisions every single day at work. You know why? Because the team responds. And guess what? If you don't know what you're doing, the second-in company is going to make it a little bit better. And guess what? If they don't have it quite right, the third-in company is going to make it even stronger. And guess what? Throw a ladder truck in there, throw a support company, throw something else, they're going to get it right. The more people you bring to the party, they're going to make a 70% plan, an 80 or 90 or 100% plan. They are going to solidify whatever it is that you have going on. That is the beauty of the fire service. We get away with that level of decision making on a day-to-day basis because guess what? We're brought up in an operational world. We respond to emergencies. We don't have all the picture. More inputs are coming in. As we get more inputs, we make faster-paced decisions. We start seeing more with our own eyes. We start figuring things out. You add a little bit more people to the problem. You add a little more water to the problem. You add a little bit of this. You add a little bit of that. And next thing you know, you have resolve. You try that same thought process on an administrative decision, and you're screwed, and you'll be looking for a new job. Try to deal with the union on that with a 70% decision with the union. Try to deal with anyone else that you're dealing with, and try to think that you will be successful at any of those level of decision making. You get away with it operationally because we're pretty good at it. We're okay with a 70% decision to put our people into an environment because it's going to get better. We're going to make it better. It doesn't always come out that way. I was talking to Kathleen about that and having a special needs son. She goes, you know what? That's the best he's ever going to be is the kid that you see him today. A special needs person, that's the best that he is going to be. He doesn't get tomorrow. He's not going to be any better next Tuesday. Every single day is Groundhog Day. And it made me stop and I think and go, man, what a blessing each and every one of us has to coach the people around us to be better. It is truly a blessing for us to say, you know what, I'm going to coach people around me to be better. But guess what it takes? It takes an incredible commitment of your time. Man, I got divorced over the fire department. You know why? Because I had to go everywhere with my crew. Because when the bell went off at 2 o'clock in the morning, they weren't going with anybody else. I left my family every single day. I left my family at noon. I left my family on birthdays. I left my family at 8 o'clock at night. I left my family at 2 o'clock in the morning. I left my family on Sundays. I left my family. I left my family. I left my family because I felt that doing the right thing was to never leave my people behind. Well, I had a lot to learn. It ends up costing you. This is not working. Let me try this other one here. Okay. I will tell you that part of that building block is how do you instill confidence in people? Because that's all this talk is going to be about today is confidence. I will tell you right now, one of the biggest things, I always love new fire captains. Because the first time they have a really good incident as a new captain, the first thing they say is what? How did I sound on the radio? You go, are you freaking kidding me? There's way more to it than that. You're worried about how you sounded as you press the key to talk button? Guess what? That's nothing. You've got a lot more on your plate than that. But what it is it's confidence. You would not believe the lack of confidence in the workforce that is coming up. And I don't know where it's coming from. I can only think it's upbringing. I can only think it's the challenges that you're given as a young person to build inner confidence in you, whether it's sports, whether it's your ability to fail, which is the #1 builder of confidence. But you as the coaches, that's where I wanted to focus. I wanted to focus on building strength within your people, beginning with the ability to instill that confidence through your workforce. I wanted to require a deep investment in your human capacity to go, how do you actually do it? And I can't tell you how to do it. I can only tell you what the things that I had success in. Time was the #1 thing. I didn't need perfection out of anybody. I needed to spend enough time with each individual to figure out what their strengths were, to figure out if they have those strengths, how do I tap into them? And how do I put them with the right group of people so you can truly develop small unit leadership and realize that you don't need to supervise anybody. You need to instill confidence on a daily basis, and you don't do it by tearing them down, because I'm good with that. It's easy to tear down people. The real value is, can you spend enough time to see through the weeds to figure out what that person needs to be successful? Because that's where my studies started to really look at it. There's a book that's out there that's a phenomenal book. It's called The Strength Finder. Has anybody ever listened to it, seen it, read it? Strength Finder. I encourage any one of you guys, if you're in a leadership role and you are developing people, to look at the book. It's Clifton Strength Finder. I think I ended up giving it to you, a copy of it to Trevor, and I go, dude, when you are building people around you, you find the chapter that involves that human being, and you find their strengths, and you use this book to build a template for them to be successful, and especially if you're developing chief officers. Because let me tell you right now, you do not get promoted to be a chief officer because you're good at fire. That is a joke, if you really think that. There's great firefighters in this room, and there's great firefighters that never promote to chief. You get promoted to chief because you can communicate at all levels. Because you know emotional intelligence to figure out, how do I fit into this situation, that situation, this situation? How do I put all this together? And yeah, on occasion I have to go to a fire, and I have to realize that I'm here to help. I'm here to bring resolve and at the same time take care of people that are there and make sure that we meet the intent of the incident. Because once again, you're cross-pollinating administrative decisions with operational decisions. And you need a lot more skills, because let me tell you this, I've said this to a lot of groups that I've got a chance to talk to. You can burn down the largest building in the city and the local school is still going to bring you cupcakes. You mistreat a female firefighter at the station, you'll be crucified tomorrow on the paper. Does fire really matter? It does to us, because the boots on the ground and the workforces that are in this room, that's what matters to us. But there is way more to it when you decide to put the gold on. You know that nobody sees anything on your badge that says battalion, division, assistant. None of that matters. They just see one word on there. What word is that? Chief. So I encourage you that when you promote the organizations and you are looking to build confidence in your workforce, you really need to start with yourself, but at the same time, you need to be true with yourself. Find out your own weaknesses. When you shift your perspective, you start looking at coaching versus leadership. Again, this isn't about leadership, this is about coaching. And I'm telling you, this isn't the high level, it's just something for you to stop and for you to look at. The power of your own influence on your people as you move in the fire service, your style doesn't just change, it changes future outcomes for people to be successful. That is succession planning. That is succession planning. I got asked a question today about Trevor Johnson. They go, how did he run this fire or do whatever? I'm going, because he's a student, he pays attention. Guess what? His uniform matters to him. It's the small things, like John Wooden would say. It's the little things. I tell people this story today, we talked about it at lunch. I was in Arizona with my family, or we were there for an event, and I was in Chipotle, and I watched a Phoenix Fire Department engine company come into Chipotle. One of them had a faded blue t-shirt on, one of them had shorts on, one of them had a ball cap on almost sideways, the other one had his boots that were unzipped halfway down, one of them had a very, very weird bandolero radio style thing, and across it, it said Motley Crue on his radio thing. They all looked different, and I'm sitting there with one of my nephews, and he goes, is that the fire department? And I go, unfortunately it is. You guys have all heard that before. You want to be paid like a trash truck or a tow truck driver? Not that there's anything wrong with that. But you want to be paid like that, dress like it. The mission we're here for is not to maintain a status quo. I've heard that so many times with people. Your job is not to maintain the status quo. Your job is to build a better tomorrow. And you do that basically through preparing the next generation through coaching, not necessarily leadership. Coaching them on the little things that will make them successful. Internal and external confidence is trusting others to be perfect and never betray you. That can't be further from the truth. Do you know that I'm going to just paint this picture for you real quick? You know that honesty is the #1 thing that people look at when it comes to coaching and to succession planning. But it's also the #1 thing that betrays you. Because when you have somebody that's with you, and you are investing everything in that person, and then you yourself are not perfect, that we heard it today from an engine company captain standing up there, he doesn't need to be perfect. There's no expectation for him to be perfect. But while you coach others, there is an expectation of them that when you let them down, they lose all faith in you. That's on the student to understand that this is not a perfect world. This is a world of us planning for the future. This is a world of us trying to do the best that we can. But you're pulling from the human race, and we are not all perfect. We all make mistakes, things happen. And it's taken me a while to figure this out and really analyze it, to go, what is happening with people when, if I come to somebody and I have one of those difficult conversations, because that was a fantastic description of what they talked about earlier. I use that word all the time. I tell people, before I have a meeting with them, before I did have meetings with them, I would say things to them. I would go, I need to talk to you. It's going to be a difficult conversation. And then I knew right away 3 things. Was it going to be an emotional conversation? Was it going to be they needed a help kind of conversation? Or was it going to be somewhat of a hybrid conversation? And I would prepare myself for one of the 3. If I was dealing with the civilian staff, it was always emotional. If I was dealing with a uniformed or a badge member staff, I knew it was going to be more that they needed help. You have to put yourself in that position right away as a coach to go, listen, first I am a coach. Yes, policies, procedures, and I will call it accountability does come in line with that, but you have to have the ability to have these discussions with people. If you in the room are struggle with those types of conversations with people, I'm going to recommend another book to you. There is a book that is out there that is very interesting, and it's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Does anybody know what that book is? Has anybody ever read that book? I read every night. I read last night. I encourage you to read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, because what it does is it breaks down the faults of society and how young people today have been taught that lying is okay, because you lie to yourself. There are way too many young people right now that have been brought up in environments where it was okay and you got away with lying to your dad. And then you come here and you think, oh, I can brush that under the rug, or they're not going to notice this, or they're not going to notice that. Well, they haven't had their ass kicked. They haven't had a piece of what I call orange Hot Wheel track about this long, wrapped across the back of their bare legs to say, what did you just say? And they come to attention, they go, that won't happen again, because there's consequence to it. Mine came in the form of a rubber garden hose sometimes. Nonetheless, it was because the lawnmower wasn't cleaned up. But my dad was a Marine, and I thank him for it today. But I'm telling you, this is a piece of coaching. I'm not telling you to go out there and kick everybody's ass. But what I am saying is that your job is to be able to take that information and coach it into small, valuable traits and lessons learned. The reason I wanted to bring this to this group is because you're the future. Yeah, there are retired people in here that have great wisdom, and I'm sure they are nodding to some of the things that I am talking about. But man, the culture has shifted. We have shifted into a kinder, gentler workforce where we don't hold people accountable. The emotional intelligence side of us says you can hold people accountable. You can do it. But if you lack that emotional intelligence on timing, tone, when at the right time to do it, what's the perfect place to sit down and have these conversations, and if you yourself have gotten yourself into a position where your own accountability is in question, you will fail. It takes time to rebuild your own character, rebuild your own person before you can have those conversations with people. It's not that you throw it out the window. It just means you may need to take a little bit deeper dive into yourself and look how you are going to rebuild yourself before you start holding other people accountable. Here's one of the things that comes up right away, and it's a coaching point I wanted to bring up. Your confidence can't be rooted in others fixing their problems or weaknesses. It must be rooted in the fact that you will be okay no matter what they do. Your demeanor and your mannerisms, you're the coach, you set the tone and acceptance. When you have people that you are mentoring, coaching, seeing, they will fail you. You cannot be mad at them. You cannot be disappointed in them. You are going to ruin your day. It's going to give you setbacks. You have to go, okay, well, you made this decision. Now what are we going to do with it? Let's see how I can help you manage your way through it. Let's see how I can coach you to the next phase. Because this is one of the things where most people fail, and this is the time factor. Time and consistency paradox. It bridges the gap between who you are today and who you want to be. And this is something to instill in your people. Your people aren't going to be you today. I will tell you right now, if I went around the room, I was a different person with 3 years on. I was a different person with 5 years on. I was a different person with 15, 20, 30, 35. All of us go through life phases. That's the paradox. The paradox is they are not going to be perfect and they're not going to be you today. It's the small, subtle things where you can develop them so their 30 years they continue to grow. The core paradox is to reach a future state that you must act in, that you must then arrive at through your current reality, though your current reality contradicts those actions. And what I mean by that is this. Drew, I'm going to coach you into the future, right? But what I really need you to do, I need you to go there with me now. I know you're not there, but you really need to put yourself in that position now. I used to have, when I had our Wildland Fire Division, nobody was ever allowed to speak in the room unless they did what, Trevor?
Stood up.
You stood up and spoke. You never got to speak to anybody sitting in your seat. Because guess what? Life's a briefing. Life is a briefing. Every single time you speak to somebody, you should be standing up, you should be projecting yourself, you should be having a conversation with them. I challenge you, for your subordinates and the people you are coaching, they should never be speaking to anybody sitting down. They should be standing up and they should be briefing, because guess what? They will be more powerful. You are instilling confidence in them because they will be briefing subordinates in the future. They will be a company officer, they'll be an apparatus operator, they'll be a fire engineer, they'll be running a crew, they'll be doing something. And if you are sitting down when you're having those conversations, you are setting them up to fail. Start instilling the values in them early and the things that are important, because briefings are important. The paradox is if you only act based upon your past data, you will perpetually recreate the current self. Think about that. If you keep thinking that you failed one time, or that you're going off this data that runs through your head, and you're afraid to step out of your comfort zone, you are just replaying the tape, replaying the tape, replaying the tape, until somebody kicks you in the butt and moves you into a position for failure. That's the paradox. You get caught in it until your coach or your mentors are willing to push you into being uncomfortable. That is the value. The zero talent framework is something I continually talk about as well, and it's this. It focuses more on the foundation that I talked about. The mastery in the fire service starts with things that require no natural talent. Are you on time? Do you call in sick? I remember people used to call in sick when I was a battalion chief, and I'd call them on the phone. I love this. I just love it. You hear things. You hear what they have to say, and you're going. So what you're basically saying is when you take a day off, or you call in sick, you're saying that your day off is more important than the person being recalled, force hired into your position. You're saying that you are more important than them. That's a culture problem. That's a culture problem. That starts with the hiring practices. You hired the wrong people if that's them. And I know that there's people probably nodding their heads. I am telling you, it is a culture problem. Spend more time on the interview process and drive out the naysayers and drive out the weak Nellies that are going to say this. It is more important that I have my day off than you. You want to build a strong culture? Get everybody thinking about the person next to them, and I will tell you, your culture will change. And you think, well, how does that happen if the ship's already sailed? It's going to take time. It takes time. You have to have patience in it, and it starts with consistency through the organization. Arriving early and staying late takes nothing for you to do that. No talent, just discipline, expectations. Asking questions and staying engaged takes no talent, takes nothing more than discipline and you being engaged in your job. Again, asking questions and staying engaged. Studying your gear and your job. We heard in the last presentation, your safety gear. Couldn't agree more with it. Couldn't agree more. I had the Hearst spreaders one night on the 118 freeway with LA City Task Force on 96 blow up, the trigger assembly blow up. It sprayed hydraulic fluid in my eyes. I went to the hospital that night, and the first question that the battalion chief asked me was, where was my safety glasses? And I go, actually I had them on and blew them off. And he goes, okay, good deal. And I'm thinking to myself right away, I'm going, dude, I had all my things on and still things went wrong. Just imagine if they weren't on for that split second. 10,000 PSI was the operating pressure of those tools. And you go, how did it cut your skin like that? Because that's what it'll do. The captain put his gloved hand over the spray from the trigger assembly on the power unit or the manifold block, put his hand over where it had blown up, and it blew an embolus into his hand of hydraulic fluid that looked like a giant blister that went through his glove and into his skin of his hand at that pressure. And you just think to yourself very quick, you go, man, safety gear is important. And I go, that's just one aspect of things, but it's important. It's coaching the future. Emulating those doing it right. I can't say it enough. Man, you need, for all of you in the room that are younger generation people that are coming up in the fire service, don't follow the boobs. Don't do it. You guys have all heard this again. Sometimes I've got a chance to speak to quite a few of you, but you guys all know that analogy of the Oregon Trail. You've probably heard it before, right? The Oregon Trail, they moved cattle, right? You know it's broken into three sections. The cattle are broken into three sections. You've got the leaders, small group, 20%. 20% of those cattle are driving, and guess what? What comes behind those leaders? The herd. The herd's made up of about 60%, right? And that herd's going to go wherever the leadership goes. And then you have this small group called the stragglers. The stragglers are the other what? They're the 20% in the back. But guess what? That's where administration spends all their work. But for the rest of the people, that's where you shoot your dinner. That's the place where they shoot their dinner. You shoot from the stragglers, and you reward the leaders, and you shove the herd more into the leadership role. For all of you running hand crews and everything like that, you take that leadership and you spread them out in the herd, and you develop more leaders. And you don't waste your time with the stragglers. You find every way to get rid of them. They don't belong in the organization. I know it's easy for me to stand up here and say that because it is a process. The ethics of today, accountability and ownership, a significant missing piece in the willingness to take responsibility for one's own actions without shifting blame. Huge thing when it comes to coaching and building confidence in people. Taking responsibility for your actions. I will tell you right now, I've learned this from so many people in our organization, that I've been able to go, man, you just have to stand up and take it. You made a mistake, something happened, you own it. Man, the ability for us to point fingers or even hide behind our organizations is crazy. For me to stand up here and say, well, I would have done that, but you know, I'm just this rank and I really just couldn't do it because I'm in this position and there's just this and there's just that. That's hiding behind a failure, your own failure in the organization. You don't hide behind anything in the organization. You own it and you take responsibility to make it better. They give you a lot of tools to communicate. And I'm telling you today, in most any agency I've ever seen, there is nobody stifling everybody for raising their hand to bring something up, whether it's a safety factor, an operational need, something that people need to know. All of these items are coaching items. And I will tell you right now, there is no room for people in the fire service. It's not my fault. I'm just this position. I didn't do it. If you allow that to happen, mentor that out of people. Get it out of them. Spend the time to make sure that that is not an acceptable answer to anything that they do. Tough conversations that don't come from an egotistical stance on the issues. If you have a reputation, I talked about this just a minute ago, if you have a reputation of being a driver by your bugles, by your Chuck E. Cheese tokens on your collar, you think you got to do what I say because I got these. You don't have those. When you get those, then you can do this. But today I have these, so I get to tell you this.
Thank you.
Yeah. That doesn't work in today's world. The respect for the position might be there, but the respect for the person probably is missing. You have to understand how you can do that. And again, the self-serving mindset is people see through that. Although the workforce may be missing grit and they may be somewhat milquetoast. By the way, I coached youth football and I used to call the players milquetoast if they couldn't hit. So I always felt like if you couldn't run into a brick wall and you didn't understand that the football helmet was your light switch, the minute that chin strap goes click and you hear it there, you should become a psycho. You know, you should be killing people. The minute you hear this snap on the thing, that should be something. Whoa! Look out! Somebody's dying. You know, someone's leaving with a broken arm. You know. Another thing, a little bit about football that you can get from it, and maybe you can teach some grit to people is, for all of you people with young kids and you future young people with young kids, always take the morning games in the fall when it's super cold outside and the kids are little, and tell them that no matter what, you want some fingers being smashed in the cold between two helmets, because that makes people not want to play. Find a way to smash fingers early in the morning when it's cold out. Because it's a great thing to do. Once they have that, you go, man, you need to build grit in people. A common ethic today is hiding behind the organization. I brought that up to you so many times already today. Can't hide behind the organization anymore. The organization may be lacking itself. It takes spirited warriors out there to seriously stop and look at this and go, how are we going to change our culture and how are we going to make what we're doing better? You cannot blame it on the organization. You cannot blame it on your bosses. You cannot blame it on the chiefs. They're doing the job the best that they can with the cards that they have been given. You have to think outside the box of reality. If you want to point fingers at the administration on every single thing that goes on, I suggest you go to one of their meetings and you see all the things that are pulling them in different directions. Man, it is not as easy just sitting in a peanut gallery going, man, this place is a joke. I don't know what they're doing over there. I will tell you that most organizations in the upper echelon, your operations chiefs, your fire chiefs, people like that, they care a lot about you. And they are trying to make all the right decisions. But man, they are impacted by budgets, they're impacted by politics, they're impacted by quotas, they're impacted by everything. And they use all of their ingenuity to try to find ways to communicate, find ways to meet the intent of two things, both their bosses and the organization. They try to find ways to meet the budget. They do the best that they can. There's no one in there going, screw them out there. We're going to find a way to screw them over. That doesn't happen. If you think that happens, I suggest that you find a different profession. Because the leadership may not be perfect, but they truly are working in the direction of the men and women of the agencies. The lack of emotional intelligence in leadership is crazy as well. You want to coach people, you need to understand people. Now, I mentioned to you the dishonesty in young adults. Man, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. People, they've just gotten away at home by saying, no, I didn't do that. This happened. I didn't do this. And they're going, do you really think we're going to believe that? We're actually paying you to be here now. Do you get that? We're paying you to work for us, and you're going to lie to us. How is that tolerable? I have a funny story about our academy. Hopefully the gentleman isn't in here. We give out a rope in our academy, a small piece of rope. Give it out in the academy. It's for you to practice knots in. I just want to tell you a little bit about something I'm proud about our organization. One of the recruits showed up at the third week or whatever of the recruit academy, and he had a different colored rope. And the training captain goes, where's your rope you were issued? And he goes, this is the one I was issued. And we go, nope, we didn't issue you that rope. That's not even the rope we buy, that isn't the rope we use, that's not the color. Everybody got the same thing. You are uniform, you got the same thing. No, sir, this is what I was given. Really, thank you very much, you can leave the office. Called the other training staff in. Was this recruit given this rope? No, sir, he was not, he was given this. Fine, let's call him back in here again. We're gonna give you another chance. Is that the rope that you issued? Yes, sir, it was the rope that I was issued. We don't believe you. Step out, please. Steps out of the office, the training chief comes in. Training chief comes in, he ends up talking to the whole training staff. They're pretty certain that he was given that rope, that he was given the rope that he is missing. They call him in the third last time, and they go, hey, listen, once again, where's your rope? All right, I lied to you. That was never the rope I given, I lost mine over the weekend. We said, thank you very much. This was your last day today, you're gone. He couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure it out. I'm being let go for this? Because I told you the truth. Dude, seriously? That you don't belong in our organization. You don't belong in the organization. Your ethics and your upbringing, honor your desire to learn, your grit, and these are choices, not gifts. That is the other thing too. When you instill these small qualities in people, don't make it sound like they're extraordinary people because they've been given this gift. These are just baseline human things that are responsible for you. These are choices. They're not gifts. Coaching the service mindset. We have changed in the fire service as well. Do people, everybody realize that we are in the hospitality business? Does everybody know that? Each one of our departments is the Marriott or the Hilton. If you think that you didn't sign up for that, somebody's coached that out of you. Because guess what? The bell goes off for all kinds of things. It doesn't go off for just the things you want to go to. You're in the hospitality business. But we tell the younger generation this is bullshit. These are bullshit calls. These are this is that. Wrong way to coach people. We're in the hospitality business. We don't get to decide what the taxpayer asks of us. Do we get to decide what they want to pay us then? Just make sure you understand that. We don't get to decide. The taxpayer does. They define the expectations. We simply decide how to meet or deliver those expectations safely. Hospitality, we are in the customer service industry. Change your perspective. Never say I was just doing my job. When you say I'm just doing my job, you're basically telling whoever you said that to that wants to thank you that they really don't matter. That you're just doing what you do. Take the ability for you to be able to take some reward when it's there and teach your people that it's okay. When somebody says thank you, that you just don't say, I was just doing my job. How about a little bit of empathy and understanding the difference between the emotional intelligence, again, of your position? Because empathy is important. When somebody comes to you and they're truly thankful for the service that you delivered, invite them in, figure it out. What would you say? What would I say in that situation if somebody came and said thank you to me? I'd say, you know what, I'm so thankful that I get an opportunity to serve you. My job is to do that. Tell me more about what happened to you. Tell me more about what happened to you. Tell me about the incident that we responded to. Tell me your story. Put it back on them. Allow them, because most people want to be heard. So you as a young firefighter, you as a young company officer, as a young leader in the fire service, take that opportunity for you to do what? Market your agency. Our agency thrives on serving you. Find a way to build the agency up. Don't build yourself. Your folks will see how you deliver service and not what you say. I had an incident happen to me, and again, when I've had the opportunity to talk to people, I had an incident happen on the 101 freeway. I was a captain at a fire station. We had a vehicle fire call on the 101 freeway. We get out there, was a woman with her daughter in the car, happened to be the wife of an LA City person, 1,000 Oaks. What are the odds? She never told us that. We pull up and she goes, my car's on fire. I stop. Everybody's waving at me and my car's on fire. Her car's not on fire, but she stopped in the center divider. Our paramedic squad pulls up behind her. The engine pulls up in front of her. We get out, we're having a conversation with her, looking at the car, and she had dropped her exhaust pipe, a bracket had broken, she was dragging her muffler, catalytic converter was hanging down, and it was sparking. Somebody said her car was on fire. She goes, I'm late for my soccer game with my daughter. What do I say to her right away? We got you. Guys in the squad, grab mother, grab daughter, grab her soccer gear, get her to the soccer game, wherever she has to go. We'll take care of your car, we'll put some baling wire on it, we'll get it to the fire station, here's our business card, we'll see you later, goodbye. She comes back to the fire station. We're in the back of the thing. She's so thankful. They lost the game, but it didn't matter. They showed up. Next thing you know, her husband shows up and he goes, I work for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. I can't thank you guys enough. We didn't know that. He's got some pies and some ice cream. We're going, listen, we're just glad that we got to help you guys. He goes, I cannot believe the level of service. And I go, well, dude, you can't be late to the game. She's the goalie. How often do you tell your workforce, do the right thing, we'll figure it out. Do the right thing, we'll figure it out. Culture versus management. Culture eats management for lunch. Just know that. You will never win in a culture of an organization that is toxic. If you don't adapt to the legacy, if you don't change or adapt your legacy practices to a new modern culture, it will outpace and destroy your agency or the profession. I'm a firm believer in it. It's already happening. It's already happening in the fire service. The past, we were different, man. I'm coming back from a time where when I got hired by Keith Garola in the room. And I'm thinking to myself, I go, most of the people were all ex-military. Most of the people came out of a different time and a different breed, Forest Service, CAL FIRE, ex-military. There was a lot of grit, bravado. They just said what was on their mind. They didn't sugarcoat a whole lot of things, and things just got done, and there was no real drama. The drama was the highlighted shift change in the morning and the animated argument in the shift change table, which is phenomenal. But when it came to the actual work of things, there wasn't a bunch of willy-nilly talk behind the scenes about he said this, she said this, this, and this. It was just direct communications. Now, we're in a generation that requires constant affirmation, constantly being told, hey, you did a good job, a little bit. Hey, you did a good job. Hey, you did a good job. Hey, you did a good job. Okay, how do we deal with that then? How do you deal with that? And the way you deal with it is, the challenge is not to resist the change. The challenge is for you as a coach to go, how much does this person need? And also try to coach that out of them. They don't need constant affirmation. They need confidence. They need self-confidence. The demands that are put on the fire service today are astounding. I have to honestly say that. It's very hard for me to understand it, but I see it every single day, and I was seeing it all the time. And I can only tell you this, and that is, there is nothing easy about it. There is no magic pill that I'm giving you. I'm just telling you that you each have the power to make change through coaching, not leadership. Small, subtle conversations that guide people to make your agency better, not undermine it. Man, I challenge every one of you in the room when you leave here to find value in your organization and to go, man, I'd be willing to bet there isn't one department in here that ever fails to pay you. I bet you may have a check messed up because they missed some overtime. But I'd be willing to bet your base pay appears in your bank account every 2 weeks, whether you do anything or not. Where's your own self-worth and your own ability for you to look at this and go, man, I'm going to meet these challenges and I'm going to give something back to the agency through coaching. I'm going to take the people that are around me and I'm going to make them better. But I don't need to be the authority on it. I just need to be a coach. For most of you that know me, you know that I love people that are thugs and I love people that are thugs because they're the ones that don't wear their safety gear that never get hurt. They're the ones that get the job done. They're the ones that say very little. They just want to be put to work. It's a very hard thing to develop in people because you wish those thugs also had a little bit more emotional intelligence and you wish it was a hybrid between the two. But I would tell you if I had to choose between one of the two, I would say go develop some thugs. Because they're the ones that will also enforce your organization. They're the ones that will also bring value to you. And for the chief officers in the room, embrace the thugs. Embrace them. There's sometimes a lost art that's in there. Hire from the programs, hire from your Honda test track. If you have crew programs, I'm going to tell you right now, not every crew person makes a good firefighter. No, not true. They might be horrible at EMS skills, they may be horrible at their people skills. They've got some work to do. They've got some work to do. But that is your value because guess what? I'd rather test drive them for 2 or 3 years and find out do I want to put them in the field to represent our agency. Find ways to build your future through your own programs and not require this thing where you get to talk to somebody in a 15-minute interview and think that they're the future of your organization, because they may not be. Find a way where you pull your people from some place other than the normal testing procedure, because it isn't happening for most of us. You've got to find it somewhere. You have to. Because you end up having these people that are self-centered, that are focused on just themselves, and they're here for all the wrong reasons. And I'm telling you, this organizations, all of our organizations, are worth fighting for. And it starts with coaching people. Thanks for letting me talk to you. Oh yeah, I'll take questions. Do we have time? Yeah. So I had a question asked to me about, don't be mad at failure, and I will tell you this is my own perspective on it. People will fail you. Your workforce will fail you. They are not perfect. But it's your job to coach them through that. You have to coach them. Now, I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying that the people that work for you, the people that are around you, and I don't even care if you're a squatty. I don't care if you're anyone that has been given small amount of responsibility will fail you. It's okay. That is the piece that will drive you nuts and coach you, is that you have to be okay with the fact that, were they on time? Have they met my intent? Were they good communicators? Okay, they didn't quite get this part right. Let's focus on that and make that better next time. But they need the reps, they need the sets, they need things, and it doesn't always come in fire. It comes in other ways. I remember somebody asked me one day, I don't know, somebody asked me one day, what's some other ways that you develop people? I would take, I have to relate to my crew time, I would take the hand crew and do swift water training with them. Throwback training. Going, hey, if there's a swift water rescue, I'm taking the entire crew to a water rescue. I'm going to put a whole bunch of bodies on the banks of the river with throw bags and things and whatever we're going to do. I don't care if we have to build a rope system. I expect you to be confident in whatever it is. But what it did was it said, whoa, we're hired as this, but you're instilling this value or this training or this level of expertise. You're coaching us through this next level, even though it's not their job. And what I found in performance reviews following that was they valued the ability for me to shift the environment into other ways of learning. For all of you hand crew soups that are out there, if you guys in the winter months or you have any kind of downtime and you aren't taking your whole hand crew to the City of Hope to go read books to kids that are in the cancer ward, you're failing your crew on emotional intelligence. If you're not going down there saying, we'll build bicycles for you guys at Christmas time, if you're not going down there to go, what community involvement can we do other than just cut brush, you're failing. You're not preparing them for the future of hospitality and their jobs. Think outside the box on building a better culture, building a better team for the future, your succession planning. The herd mentality is just that. You want people to graduate from the herd into the leadership, but you want that herd to stick super close to that 20%. You don't want them anywhere back near the stragglers, because every now and then the stragglers will pull someone into they'll pull from the herd to go, grab this guy, look at him, he's a mope. That mope that always got his head down, he's always complaining, grab him, he belongs with us. You know, we're the naysayers, you know. We drop a lot of shit back here, then this is what they always want to go, we're always wrong, we're always this and that. Well, you never have a positive thought. You're always dragging your feet, you know. My mom and dad are older, they're in their 80s, they drag their feet. If there's a throw rug, they're going down. And that's just the way it is. Same thing with stragglers. If there's a power line, that's it, they're done. You know, so just think of it like that.